the South Carolina debate. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Anytime you get to talk about policies and you get to differentiate, this candidate from that candidate, you also get to see how Bernie Sanders held up under pressure as the front runner. Right now, all eyes on Bernie. All eyes on Bernie. And he acknowledged it. He's like, you guys are saying my name a lot more this debate. That's interesting. So, first of all, this is South Carolina debate just happened yesterday. Today's February 26, 2020, Wednesday, so it would have been the 25th. This is, we're only 3 days out from South Carolina's primary, and this is right after Bernie Sanders' major, huge victory in Nevada, 47-20, by 27 points in a crowd of 7. So it's a demolition derby of neoliberals, and then Bernie is just running up the middle, and he's taking it, and he's going to run away with this. And, I'm feeling very optimistic these days, but I don't want to get too optimistic because it's not over until the fat lady sings. And I haven't seen the fat lady, the fat lady needs to start singing, but that's what? Inauguration, January 29th. Then, 2021, when I see Bernie Sanders take the oath of office, then I'll be like, okay, maybe he'll actually get to be president. Maybe they won't cheat him this time. So the very first thing is, where's Tulsi Gabbard? Right off the bat, the DNC's fucking over Tulsi Gabbard, right? Bloomberg's in there. Let's all get Bloomberg in there. People are saying, Amy, Tulsi, Liz, they need to drop out. Tulsi Gabbard is on the ballot in South Carolina. Bloomberg is not. But Bloomberg is on the stage. That, fucking billion. Well, he's got $1 billion fucking dollars. Well, of course. Get on the stage, you fucking billionaire. So Tulsi's not on the debate stage, but Bloomberg is. Tulsi's been campaigning for the last year and got a bunch of donations, grassroots donations, just like the DNC had ordered. Bloomberg has not. Bloomberg is not on the ballot in South Carolina, so DNC's got this backwards. It's also weird how folks in the, political punditry class, it's weird how the political pundits are saying that these other 7 candidates need to drop out, but never Bloomberg. They always say, Liz needs to drop out, Klobuchar, and really everybody needs to drop out but Bernie Sanders right now at this point. That's what I personally, it's Bernie's, right? This is Bernie's. Just give it to Bernie. Fuck it. Vote blue no matter who. It's Bernie. So you got to vote for Bernie, right? But they don't suggest it for Bloomberg. And Bloomberg, it's like they want to see the Bloomberg strategy on March 3rd. Maybe to see if there's some kind of Bloomberg effect. They want to see how this whole thing, unravels. But if the Bloomberg strategy actually has sway, if the Bloomberg strategy could win, the Bloomberg strategy of fuck Iowa, fuck New Hampshire, fuck Nevada, fuck South Carolina, I'll just throw a bunch of money at this thing, and, on Super Tuesday, I'll win it all. So if we're going to sit there and say Bloomberg strategy has validity, then that means staying in the race for Klobuchar and Liz and all the rest of them up until Super Tuesday would be the that they should do the exact same thing. Wouldn't you want to see what their effect is? See if there's a Liz Warren effect. See if there's a Klobuchar effect. The political winds are tumultuous, and they could change at any moment. So let's talk about South Carolina debate. Tom Steyer was back on the stage. You had Klobuchar, you had Liz Warren, you had Bloomberg, Tom Steyer. So Tom Steyer wasn't in the last debate in Nevada, but he's been polling in double digits in South Carolina. So I would like to see Tom Steyer kind of kick some ass in South Carolina, take out those other neoliberals. Hell yeah, Tom Steyer said he's not part of the, Stop Bernie Brigade. He says that Bernie Sanders' analysis is right, but his solutions are wrong. But he says his analysis is correct. So Tom Steyer, I feel like, just like Tulsi Gabbard, is more of an ally to Bernie Sanders than an opponent. But yeah, Tom Steyer is back on there. Bloomberg didn't get wolf-packed this time around. People threw some shit at him, but basically it was a massive attempted Bernie bash, And it was a failed Bernie bash. Bernie held his own. He responded well, maintained his composure. He looked good as number one. And they all admitted that he's the only person that has a chance of getting a plurality of votes at the convention. It's weaker than a majority, ranked choice voting now, but they're saying only Bernie can win. This is, they say it's Bernie's to lose, but they haven't been calling Bernie a winner, for the last year or so. So, South Carolina debate. I don't think, a lot of people are complaining about it because they're all attacking Bernie, but they're attacking Bernie because he's the front runner, and Bernie don't give a fuck. He don't give a shit. He's sitting there yelling, somebody yelled at him, there's another person yelled at him, and then at one point, somebody had booed him, and he said, really? Really, to the audience, really? So he is, a pissed-off old goat. He's a pissed-off old goat, right? So good. I like that he's a stubborn old goat. He looks good as number one. He looked good at number one. He looked good at number one. So, yes. Bernie Sanders, I think, is on his way to kicking ass and taking names in South Carolina and then Super Tuesday. Like I said, it ain't over until the fat lady sings, so that means we got to, stick to the grindstone, keep walking forward, keep building brick by brick, step by step. Eventually, we're going to build this progressive house. Eventually, we will get to the promised land. So Mayor Pete was unflappable. Thoroughly unflappable as an opportunist bullshitter. He was a disrespectful prick. Mayor Pete, not only would he have fired Jackie Robinson and Sidney Poitier, he thought that Gayle King being nice to him was an endorsement. He's like, oh shit, Gayle King, she endorsed me. She's like, I always said hello to you, so that's not an endorsement. And then Mayor Pete tried to fire her. He tried to fire Gayle King. Michael Bloomberg, apparently in 2012, financed Elizabeth Warren's opponent to keep Elizabeth Warren out of Congress. So, she's got, they got some history, between the two. Bloomberg had a major Freudian slip of the tongue. He says, I bought those politicians. He kept trying to find the word. He was saying, I own, I bribe. What's a word a poor person would use? I supported them. That was Trevor Noah. But Bloomberg slipped, out, and he basically said that in 2018, you had, 40 new Democrats. He said he bought the Democratic Party in 2018 when the House had flipped Democratic. So it was, Michelle Bloomberg who financed most of their campaigns. He bought himself some politicians, keep their peckers in his pocket. So that's how America's political system works, right? The plutocrats buy and own these fucking politicians, and then they, pull their strings and make them dance like puppets. It was asked at one point in time, where's the commander-in-chief? And Biden responded, we don't have one. I thought it was a good moment for Joe Biden. Joe Biden claimed that 150 million people have died of gun violence, I think, since 2007, or was it when the Brady bill? I think he said 2007 because Bernie had voted against, or had voted for immunity for the gun manufacturing companies, and then he said, and then 150 million people have died from gun violence since 2007. He said more than all the wars combined, more than Vietnam. More than all the wars combined, even including Vietnam. So is he talking about all the deaths in the world? Like, what is 150 million? No, that wasn't like 150 million Americans. That's half of America. No, Joe, half of America didn't get shot up by guns. So what the fuck is he talking about? In what? In the entire world? Perhaps in 13 years' time? 2007? I mean, I don't know. Maybe gun deaths, including war zones? That's just a huge fucking number. He should explain it. He should explain it because it just seems like he pulled a huge-ass fucking number out of his ass, and I don't see how it even corresponds to reality at all. I could be wrong. But it doesn't correspond to Bernie's vote, so it's not relevant. It's not really logically connected because you couldn't sue the gun companies. That's why 100 million people, that's why 4 trillion people got shot. I don't know. Bloomberg thinks that Russia is helping Bernie because they think Bernie's the weaker candidate, and they want to run Bernie up against Donald so that Donald wins. That's what Bloomberg, that's his, fucking theory. Maybe they like Bernie because he's socialist, and they like Trump because, he's for détente. And both of them would serve their interests, so maybe they're split. Maybe they don't, and maybe they're just sowing chaos, which I think is, more likely. And neither one of them, convinces me to like or dislike either one of them. So what? Putin likes them, don't like them? I mean, if you get enough of those, you don't want David Duke's endorsement, that's for sure. But both Bloomberg and Biden are right-wing neoliberals. I hope America can see through this shit. I don't like talking about them at all. Bloomberg admitted at the debate that he thought that Bernie didn't stand a chance because Bernie couldn't win over the moderate Republicans. And that's key to Bloomberg's whole, worldview, to his strategy. So what the neoliberals are saying about Hillary Clinton in 2016. So that's what Schumer and all these old Democratic establishment, they want to target the moderate Republicans. So they're not even going to appeal to the progressive base of the Democratic Party in the Democratic primary. No, you got to appeal to the Democratic base. And you have to, I say, fuck the Republicans. Fuck the Republicans. Don't even try to get the moderate Republicans on board. How far to the right do you have to run in order to try to convince those assholes? They're too obedient to their, abusive daddies. They're going to have to, those wives, those Stepford wives, they're going to, vote Republican. So to try to win them over, they hate you. They hate you. Democrats, Republicans hate you. They won't vote for you if the world was on fire. So I think Bernie's way is better. He wants a higher turnout rate, and he wants to fundamentally realign the American electorate. If you get, a new coalition, black people, young people, we can change American politics for decades. So stop running to the right. Democrats need to embrace their base, get some progressive values, a progressive agenda, just get the fuck out. What's the point of having the Democratic Party if it's not liberal, not left-wing, not oppositional? It has to be different. You can't be the Republicans. Democrats, you cannot be the Republicans. So the fact that Bloomberg is sitting there saying that he's going to, try to get those modern Republicans, he's a conservative in the race? Yeah, that's right. He is a conservative. That's why Elizabeth Warren was 100% right when she said the progressive base will never, ever trust Bloomberg. And she's right. I will never vote for him. I will never trust him. I'm not going to just get in line. Oh, here's a fucking huge-ass billionaire who just balled his way into the election. You got to get in line. You got to get in line. Vote blue no matter who. Okay, well, when Bernie wins, vote blue no matter who. Oh, you forgot? Oh, you're still being... So if we're losing when we're talking about Donald, as Andrew Yang says, then we're losing when we're talking about Biden and Bloomberg, too. They're just both really gross. Joe's creepy. He's a neoliberal relic. Bloomberg is to the right of Joe. So Bloomberg is just so right-wing, maybe even to the right of Donald. Electing Bloomberg or Biden to think that they beat Donald, they are Donald. You're just putting one thing up to beat the other. You can't fight fire with fire. You got to fight fire with water. And what would be the point of taking one gigantic piece of shit who's the president now and replacing it with another gigantic piece of shit? Who does that help? Newt Gingrich, he's got it. He said Bernie Sanders is right where the Democratic Party ought to be. Is that not where, the history? Democrats are for the poor, Republicans are for the rich. Isn't that how it's been, or that's the perception of it? Democrats have been getting away with that perception. But Newt Gingrich is right. Bernie Sanders is right where the heart of the Democratic Party ought to be. They've been calling Democrats socialists for such a long-ass time, trying to get them to run to the right, and they've ran to the right for decades. And now we just got two center-right parties. Now we have one big business party, one big military-industrial complex party. And the little man, the worker, the farmer, the small business, the little person, the little man, they get fucked over. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. So, and, Tucker also said that other Republican establishment types are wanting to run against Bernie Sanders. They wanted to Pied Piper Bernie Sanders, elevate him because, look at Bernie, the Democratic Socialist, it would be easy. But Donald and Tucker, they both realized that Bernie Sanders is a threat. And he said it numerous times, Donald has, that he's threatened by Bernie Sanders. Said it in a tape with Lev Parnas, and he said it in some interview. So he says Bernie is the threat. Donald says Bernie is stronger than Bloomberg because Bernie actually has real followers. So Donald recognizes that Bernie is the biggest threat. In 2016, Donald had actually backed down from a debate with Bernie Sanders after previously saying that he would debate him. Donald is afraid of Bernie. If that's, that should tell you something. Pete the opportunist bullshitter. Pete the unflappable. Pete the unflappable opportunist bullshitter. He talked over Bernie Sanders many times, just talked over Bernie during Bernie's time, and we, the audience, couldn't hear either one of them. So, ooh, wow, Pete Buttigieg is a bad boy, breaking the rules. Liz Warren broke the rules several times, too, just kept on talking. She would just talk right in the middle of the thing. It wasn't even her turn. Nobody pointed. It wasn't even... And then she'd go on for like a minute. She would interrupt and just go on for a minute, and then nobody would quiet her down. So Bernie Sanders had said that Cuba had passed Fidel Castro had a literacy program, an education program, and there was booze in the audience. So this audience was not a working class audience. They were they were booing and cheering at all the wrong things. So he says they have a literacy program. Boo! And then Bernie goes, really? Bernie got sassy. Really? Really, you're going to boo me? Elizabeth Warren says we need to see Bloomberg's taxes. Boo! Why would you boo that? Why would you boo literacy? Why would you boo transparency with Bloomberg's? No, we don't. Well, he's like Donald Trump. We don't need to see his tax. He'll promise it. We don't need it. Boos in the audience at Liz, at Bernie. And then they were like cheering for Bloomberg. They were like Bloomberg enthusiasts. Bloomberg enthusiasts were losing their minds. They were cheering and booing at all the wrong shit. And I don't know if Bloomberg actually got any of his people there, but only the wealthy were at the South Carolina debate. Cost for the tickets for the South Carolina debate was $2,000 to $3,000. $3,000 for one night, a ticket, something that's going to be aired on TV. $3,000 to sit in a chair. But, I think it has a big perception when it comes to the audience. Typically you want to feel like you're a part of the audience, but if they're reacting differently than how you would react, then it's kind of like, fuck those people there. It's almost like you wish you were there to, counteract their audience narrative. But $3,000 for a ticket, that's 6 months worth of rent. $3,000 just to go to, that's a brand new car for the working class. $3,000, that's 3 iPhones. $3,000 is a chunk of change. So way to weed out the poorest, TBS. I mean, 150 million deaths since 2007. That's Mao Zedong. That's a genocide the size of Mao Zedong. Jesus Christ on a cracker. This battery's dying, so we'll come back with more South Carolina debate stuff. Peace.